Hello, and welcome back to Everyday Writers, your one-stop shop for demystifying the writing process. We're here to be helpful guides on your journey to becoming a published author. I'm one of your hosts, Crystal McQueen.
I'm your other host, Jordan S. Keller.
And today, on today's bonus author interview, we would like to welcome to the show Nick Girard. Nick is the author of In the Beginning and lives in Wilmington, Delaware with his wife Lisa and his cat Buttercup. They all love to read. His professional life has centered around operations and sales within the financial sector in various parts of the U.S., including Philadelphia, San Diego, New York City, Miami, and now here in Delaware. Nick began to develop an interest in writing in college, and that interest matured into more of a passion as he continually desired a more purposeful life outside of the financial industry. I get that. Which is why he wrote this book right here. His main goal is to create a bold and inspirational work of fiction in order to unite society around a shared vision of living together in peace. Nick, welcome to the show.
Hello, Crystal. Hello, Jordan. Thanks for having me. This is exciting. A great intro.
Will Buttercup be making a special appearance?
She might. She hasn't. So we adopted Buttercup about just a couple months ago. So she's new to our family. We had another fur child, Patches, who passed away. But Buttercup's never seen me do this. Oh, thank you. Buttercup's never seen me do this, so I kind of expect her to I have this little light right here. She's gonna, I'm sure, get the cord in a matter of seconds. So we'll see, but it'll be good for our show. A little added added activity.
Pets are always welcome.
Oh, good,
100%.
good to hear that. I'm a big animal lover.
Amazon describes your book as a cosmic battle between heaven and hell, and that sounds like an awesome premise for any story. Can you give our listeners a quick synopsis for In the Beginning?
Sure. So this book is about an evil god that chooses to torture humanity, a god that creates money, power, greed, and war as tools that humanity will then use to destroy the earth. So in this book, God is evil, the devil is good, and they're fighting for control of the humanity. They're using humans as pawns to destroy it. And instead of God creating the earth, I have the devil creating the earth. And the devil creates the earth as this beautiful gift for God. I then describe God as like this evil, power-hungry tyrant that is jealous of the beautiful earth that Lucifer created and decides to destroy it with a plague, the plague of humanity. So a reversal around the traditional beliefs that humanity possesses for heaven and hell, and pretty heavy, a little heavy stuff right there. In a nutshell, yeah, that's what the book is about. Yeah, but yeah, very, a bit controversial. However, ultimately centered around the need for world peace, equality, and true love. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Perfect elements for any good story.
So, when I read your book, it feels very different in structure. The
Sure.
first part of it feels very much Bible-esque. It feels very person omniscient, and you don't lose that in the second half, but it's a lot more closer
Yeah.
to the two individuals who are deciding the fate of humanity.
Sure.
So, can you talk about any difficulties that you might have had in writing this book, especially in such a religious setting?
Sure. I respect you, the two of you. I respect your listeners, and their views. So, so when I describe that, so I would say it was difficult to write the first part of it because I kept one kind of thing in the book, a little secret to it, is that I kept God and the angels genderless.
I
So,
noticed that. I
yeah.
did notice
Oh,
that.
all right.
Yeah.
No, he, him, his, he, her, hers, or they or them. And that was challenging because you can't write uh, you have to be careful of using the word God too much, or it's just a little too repetitive. So that was a challenge for me. And then I went out to the second part of the book, the New Testament, set in modern day times. Well, there's another secret to that too. It's loosely based on the life of my wife and I when we were living in New York City. And to be clear,
Oh.
none of the violence happened to us. I
Oh,
made that
thank
Thank
up.
goodness.
goodness.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, no, I should have processed it first. None of that happened to us. I made that up, but no, that was me working in the financial sector. I still work, like we were just in the bio. I still work in the financial sector, unfortunately. And but that was me working in sales, and that was my wife working as an assistant at a hedge fund. Yeah, so the story really. I mean, we'll probably get into this about how I kind of got in writing it, but I think did I answer your question right? Did you said what?
What were the challenges of just
Oh,
like
challenges. Yeah,
writing? Yeah,
yeah. Sorry, I get off track. I get
Oh,
excited.
you're good.
that's okay.
So, I mean, I'm not a religious. I was raised religious, and it wasn't. And I guess it wasn't difficult to take on that story. I wanted to take it on. I'm
Hmm.
really look. I'm all about. Let me back up. The purpose of the book is to inspire humanity to achieve world peace. That's what I'm trying to do. And I've got to. I'll be careful with this next comment, but a lot of what a lot of what we fight over since the beginning of since the start of humanity, we've been fighting over religion.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get humans involved with accepting everyone across the world and ex supporting human equality. That's the biggest part of it. That's the main thing I'm trying to get through with this book. So definitely difficult to, I think, yeah, I knew it would be difficult to get that message across to people, especially people that are very devout. And I send free copies of this book around the world. And
Really
oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, to a very diverse audience too. Like, I mean, Pakistan, Turkey, um, all
interesting.
across Europe, Madagascar, Egypt,
Is this people
Morocco.
reaching out to you and
No, no,
asking
no,
about it?
no.
No, just
Yeah, similar to how we kind of met. I reached
yeah.
out to someone who, like, let's say, I mean, the posts I do are kind of, I mean, I have really odd book marketing.
They're
Like,
hilarious.
yeah,
What works, it works.
yeah, but it's interesting because it doesn't match the book. Like I'm really goofy, obviously, and a bit of a doofus, but the book doesn't really match. And so I'll meet someone and say, look, you're interested a little bit. Would you like a free copy? And sometimes people say yes. And so sometimes they're a little surprised at like what the book actually is once I send it to them. Like, just to warn you, it is pretty controversial. But so it was, it's such a long-winded answer for your question. I'm sorry. But yeah, so I knew I would have that difficulty when convincing people to read it that are devout. And I still have that difficulty.
Yeah.
But that was the difficult part. I knew I would happen, that I would have people that kind of make some. I've had some people making some interesting comments to me about what I'm trying to do, and so that part I was prepared for, and that has been a bit difficult. But it's something that Sandra just might say, it excites me, because I want to have those difficult conversations. Uh, yeah, that's a very long-winded answer to your question. So not difficult to write. I wanted to write, but difficult as in it's difficult getting that
It
talking about that message to people for
it's a
sure.
heavy topic for sure.
Yeah, yeah, very heavy, yeah, for sure.
But it sounds like you're able to build bridges with it, connect with people that have different views or they're that interested in different things. And
Yeah, good point, Jordan. Yeah, so I always like to, and this is really who I am, is look, I'm not trying to offend anyone. And I know the book is offensive. I'm like, look, I know what I'm saying to you is offensive. But like honestly, all I'm trying to do is inspire the world to live together in peace. That's the sole purpose of what I'm doing. And that's how I approach it to everyone that has a comment, and or I've had people I've sent this to who've told me, look, Nick, I read about halfway through and I had to stop because it's against what I believe in. I know you're like I'm challenging God, all gods and all religions in this book.
Yeah.
And it can be tough, it is. And but yeah, I always try to come across like, look, I always apologize. Like, look, I'm on your side. All I want is peace. This is the way we do it. And that's how that's the approach. Yeah.
so we know religion's not black and white, but your book cover is black and white, and it's very
Yeah.
striking. When I first saw it, it made me think of AC/DC's album Back in Black.
Right
And I'd like,
on. Yeah.
yeah. So I'd like to know sort of like the thought behind that cover. It is so
Sure.
just like in your face.
Yeah, sure. I'm glad you said that.
I'm
So,
holding it up.
yeah. So-
Oh,
oh yeah. So I mean, I wanted it to be intriguing. I wanted it to like I feel like when you look at the cover, yeah, it's just black and white and it just got the title, that's it, and no pictures or anything. And if you look on like you go into Barnes and Noble, I kind of feel like I'm in the wine store. There's 1,000 different brands of wine and I don't know what to do. And so, you look, I'll choose something because of a label. And so I wanted it to just like, okay, what's, simple cover, what in the beginning, and then you read the back and you're kind of like, okay, this is pretty, it's there's something intriguing about that.
Yeah.
And also on Am when you, so I self-publish this through Amazon.
Mhm.
When you go on Amazon, you try to put your cover in, like it can be expensive to like what you kind of images
Oh.
you use and stuff. And
Mhm.
so I went with a real the least inexpensive option is this.
The
That was
The
a
black,
financially
white
qualifier.
title.
responsible one.
Fiscally responsible, yeah, yeah,
It conveys that mystery. It's perfect.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, that's how I came about with it. I wanted something just like simple and stark,
Yeah.
and yeah, I kept it like that. But I've heard a few people say that like, "Hey, your cover is just like that's it." You're like, wow, well, like you're kind of you're interested a little bit because just by seeing how stark it is. But yeah, that's
Have,
how I got to it.
have either of you guys read J.D. Salinger's Catcher in the Rye?
I have,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. So you know on the cover, if you get one of like the original ones, it's got a carousel with like a scary horse on it.
Mhm.
like the
Yeah.
orange cover, right? It's like a weird mural sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
hated it. He did not want it. He wanted a
No
cover
way.
like yours. And so when he got famous,
Really?
he changed the cover. And so if you get a modern day version of Catcher in the Rye, it's just the letters and a white cover
I didn't
because
know
Huh.
that.
that's what he wanted. Yeah.
No way.
See, so not
Interesting.
being cheap, you're being historic.
Yeah, yeah, there we
Yeah,
go. Yeah,
yeah.
there we go. Yeah, there
You're
we
being
go.
elite.
That's great. Yeah, I like that. Good question, Jordan.
So, you're somebody who works in the financial industry. I work
Yes.
in insurance, so
Yeah,
financial
yeah,
adjacent.
yeah.
Can you kind of talk through what led you to working in the financial industry to becoming an author? And did
Yeah.
writing your book actually help you find that purpose you were looking for?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, great question. Hopefully I won't be too long-winded, but so so yes, like I started writing this. Um, wait. The first part of the question was, wait. I'm sorry. I got
It's
sick.
okay. How did you go from financial
Yes,
industry to
yes, yes, yes.
author, and
Okay.
then did you actually find your purpose?
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Sorry.
I
All right.
should
So
just ask questions more simplistically.
no, it's my fault. I get excited. So um, so when I hate working in the financial world, and I only got involved in the financial world. I don't mind. Hope you don't mind being transparent.
No, no.
But
No.
I I graduated college with significant student loan debt, and you know how like if you I didn't want a job, I needed a job, so I didn't know what to do in college. I got a degree in economics, and so got a job working in the financial world, and just stuck with it because I got loans to pay, and I just it was extremely depressing for me too because I hate working in the financial world. I find it extremely boring, and there's other reasons too, but. Um, so it just progressed. And like when I was in New York, I was, whatever year, a decade, 15 years into the financial world. And you just feel like you're in like a chasm, like a black hole of depression with like, you got the TV blasting on in the office and it's, the news is, and this is back
Hmm.
in 2014. Nothing much has changed. All the news stories are just as terrible as they are now. But anyway, I'll stay on track. You see like one horrible news story after another. It's like, and it's always innocent life dying in a horrible tragedy, and I take the subway home from work and I'm like, I'd be so depressed, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, how can I help? What can I do? And I literally put pen to paper on the subway. And it's impossible to write on the subway in New York because it's like so crowded. But I had like this little tiny notebook and I just kind of like, I jot down like I scratch a little note if I could, if I was rambling on the subway. And that just like progressed. And so we moved out of New York and we moved to Philadelphia. There's a lot less people on the subway there, and so I could actually sit down. And I had this journal, and I was like, I mean, it's not to be cheesy, but like I channeled the energy from my horrible day at work, and I had to put pen to paper, and like I wrote my entire first draft freehand, just like bam, just like hitting it every day on the subway home, and it just kept snowballing, and then finally I had the story and just kept going, and um, I mean, that's that. So that's the first. That's how I got into the financial world. But yet, to the second part of your question, purpose. Yeah, it's like I need a purpose. I need to create something to inspire humanity to change. I I don't have any money. I'm a billionaire. People listen to me all the time on social media. I got my wife and I and our kitten, like, so that's how it progressed. And it gave me purpose, like that, like I write with purpose. I want to inspire people. And, it led me to this, and, and I think I finished this. I was watching your one of your podcasts, and what was it? I think top 10, was it
Frequently asked
frequently
questions.
asked questions? Yeah, and like one of the parts was a lot when you edit, um, going line by line. I think it was Jordan that was saying, she's like, I didn't like that part of it, but I did it, and like, yeah, you got to
Yeah,
do
you
it, and
have
like.
to.
So my first draft was a mess, like it was like, oh, I wrote it by hand. So I was like, I was typing the first draft out. I was like, I don't even know what I'm talking about. So like I did that just like you were saying, Jordan, again and again, it's line by line. You got to pound it out. But I eventually got to the final draft, like 17 rewrites later. It took me forever.
That's not
But
bad.
yeah, it's not bad. Oh, Jordan.
Um,
Oh, yeah. But
we have a friend who handwrites all of his first drafts also, and
yeah.
he always talks about how much more soul is in those handwritten drafts compared if he would to type it. And kind of, what's your thought on that? Do you like handwriting that first
Oh,
draft? Would you have
100%.
preferred?
100,
Okay.
100%. Like, I mean, I want to write another book, and I'll definitely go the same path again. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, I could feel like I write with happiness, but I also write with a lot of anger, like a lot, and my anger about the state of society, about
Yeah.
innocent life suffering. That's what I'm so angry about. It's
Yeah.
like I'm gonna say something a little heavy, I guess. But like, like I think of, a bomb dropping on an innocent family, and pick a war-torn area in history,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I think about that, or I think about someone at work, like just treating me like I'm inferior person solely because of my title, and I'm just like, I mean, I get into that, and
Mm.
I'll make myself like I can make myself cry. But I can make myself do it, like
Mhm.
I'll work myself up on purpose, and I'll put that energy. I'll write when I'm that upset, and just like whatever thoughts come in, I'll put that together on the paper, and yeah, you feel a lot of soul into it. But then
Mhm.
when you edit it later, you're like, oh boy,
A little cringy, like, oh
yeah,
no.
like what was I talking about? But you can it evolves as you edit. So
Mhm.
Okay, so we talked about JD Salinger and how you like kind of stole his cover idea.
yeah.
Did you
Nick had it
did you,
first.
did you know that Truman Capote wrote all of his stories on yellow legal pad, like laying down in a bed? He would like hold it up and write
I
it.
didn't know that either, Crystal.
Yeah. See,
Really? You got
you're
some
just
nice
like
facts here about that.
super fancy. Oh
Oh
gosh.
yeah. I mean that's interesting too, really.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He wrote
Uh,
every single story that he did. He laid down on a bed and he would write it. Breakfast at Tiffany's, in
wow.
Cold Blood. Yeah. So
Really
Wow.
interesting. Very interesting. I love hearing that because yeah, like you and Jordan were saying, it's like yeah, you just can. There's just like a connection between. I use a very specific pen
Hmm.
too.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Pen in a
like
notebook.
yes.
yeah, like one of the companies my wife used to work with, there was this, she was an executive assistant to a CEO, and this guy, I think I had a really hard time with him because like, I mean, he treated her terribly, and
Hmm.
it 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 really got to me. But the company they worked at, they did a misprint on the pens, and like the pen, it doesn't say the company. I won't say the company, but the city the company's in, the font they use or whatever, it's spelled incorrectly. It looks wrong. And so they had to throw all the pens away. And so that's like my pen. It's like, it reminds me how much
Yes.
I hate these kind of people that treat people as they think they're superior because of their title or their background. That's something I really can't stand. And so it
Yeah.
like, that's why I use that's why I use that pen. And I use it to this day. I had to like, it was hard for me to find refills actually, and it doesn't fit. And it
Oh
Oh.
kind of like
no.
shakes a little, but I don't care.
On
Uh,
Everyday Writers, we're really interested in authors' process for how they write, and you've kind of
yeah.
talked about that already. Were there any like, what was the most surprising or maybe your most joyful moment of starting from idea to finished product since this is your first book?
I mean, that's a tough one. I mean, so you said my favorite part, right?
Yeah, or something that surprised you, or
Surprising. I guess the whole editing process really surprised me. Like I mean, it's just I didn't send it. I mean, I couldn't send it anywhere professionally, and so it was just my wife and I doing it. So after I would do it a number of times, I'd have my wife read it, and then she'd come back with a bunch of stuff, and I'd fix it up, and I
Mhm.
did that a lot, and that was surprising. Like how like I figured, oh, I just wrote it down, I'll type it up, and be good to go. I mean, it took that process. You really like you make to make
Yeah.
it tight. You I mean you know how it is. Like you got to make a tight copy. I mean. There's like different kinds of the word words like the word I would use the word angel a
Yeah.
Mhm.
lot, and so I had to like control F angle because I had a few,
Oh,
like, and I would
yes.
do tricks like that. I'd be like, okay, I would do he because I had to make sure that I didn't say he when I referred to God. So I would do I would control F he, and there's like 500 he, however many he's, but I had to make sure they weren't in the first section. So like
Yeah.
all
Ooh,
these little kind of tricks that you use and punctuation too. It's like,
yeah.
it's all and they say it's punctuation is not black and white. You
Mm-mm.
can kind of weave in a few things. Some people say this is how you do it. Some people, other people say this is how you use something. So I had like 4 books where I would try to find similar punctuation. So I had a Harry Potter 2. What else did I had? I had oh I'm forgetting the other book that I had. Fitzgerald. I had This
Oh,
Side of
Gatsby.
Paradise.
Oh,
And
yeah.
just as like, and I would say, okay, how did he use this type of sentence? I would kind of search in kind of a book to
Mhm.
find it. So that was tough.
That's really smart to do it that way, though.
Well, yeah, I was like, well, that's what I thought. Kind of copy how I mean, they're already published, and however they used it, it's the benchmark. Um, and then I was also really surprised about how I felt when I got my first copy because like so you submit it to Amazon and then you get like a proof copy back.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I got that proof copy and then you're like, all right, done. And then when I first got my first copy in the mail, this is embarrassing. I don't care. I cried like a baby.
Oh,
Oh, I cry really easily. It's something that's always been weird about me, but
I'm right there with you. Don't worry.
oh, okay.
I'm a crier.
You're in good company. I'm crying when I watch an episode of Wonder Years, Like I'll cry in 2 seconds. I don't know what it is. It's just weird, but I was just like so moved, I was like, all right, It's just-
I did it.
yeah, yeah. It's just you feel legitimate, when
Yeah.
you first get that
Yeah.
back, and so I feel like
I,
I'm so long-winded in my answers. I'm sorry. I hope
No,
no,
you're perfect.
that's okay.
I was going to tell you that when I was reading it,
Mm.
because I didn't know it was self-published, but I got
Hmm.
like a third of the way through it and I had to look because there were no errors, there were no misspellings. Like
Well, there's a
the
few.
prose was really, really well done.
Oh, thank you very much
And
for anything
so
you
that
say.
is not common for a self-published book. So I just want to
Yeah.
say kudos to you because it
Oh,
really
thanks.
does all the work you put into it was worth it.
Oh, thank you,
Mhm.
thank you. And I've got like I have like the way I take notes is I make little email drafts, and I've got like an email draft of mistakes in the final copy. There's about 4 errors, and I'm like, ah. But you know how like if you read a famous author, you'll find if I know the two
Always.
of you, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you'll always find something. There's always and something to us that may seem obvious, like a common
Mhm.
misspelling. You're like, all right, yeah, they got it too.
It makes this all, it makes like it just evens that playing field.
It
Like,
does.
yeah.
You're completely right. You're completely right, and it feels good to know that like someone who's big has got mistakes too. And everybody
Right.
does. Everybody.
I always tell people, just don't tell me. I can't change them. So
Yeah,
find
yeah,
them, don't tell
yeah.
me.
Because that's what someone did to me. They're like, I didn't know, but it was a friend.
Oh,
They're
I
like,
guess.
hey, I did find this. I'm like, well, great.
Okay,
I
so
did that for you.
another trivia fact.
Please, I like these.
I don't know which book it was, but Stephen King wrote a book, and it was in one of his interviews where he was talking about how he had used the wrong type of gun. Like somebody wouldn't be carrying this gun, the police officer or whatever. And he said to this day, he still gets emails from fans going, they would never use this gun.
Get
And he's
out of
like,
here.
I know.
I know. Thanks for telling
Oh,
me. I'm obsessing about it for 2 decades.
he's just in the
You're a great friend.
bookstores, like barking up every copy, fixing it.
I like these facts. These are cool trivia pieces.
I read a lot of author interviews.
That's cool though. That's great because it's stuff you don't really hear about. It's fun to know that what they say. That's pretty cool. Interesting. I like.
So we're wrapping up on this bonus
Oh,
episode of Everyday Writers. Nick, can you tell our listeners where they can find you at and how they can connect with you?
sure. Okay.
Yay.
Also,
Oh,
please
go ahead,
tell
go
us
ahead.
about the book that you said I'm gonna write another book. So
Yes.
anything you're working
Oh,
on,
yeah.
where they can find out more about you, all the stuff Jordan just
Well,
said.
yeah. So the new book. I mean, I'll write that one of these days. Like I don't even know when that is. I want to. It's just, but like you know how it is. Like if you
Mm.
work full time, what are you gonna do? Like write on the weekends? Like yeah, that's how I used to do it. And I finished this when I was unemployed for like 6 months, which I can never do again. That's when I finished this. So I don't. Maybe I'll just be unemployed again, and that's where I'll start the new one. But it'll be a continuation from this one and much more. I'm a big fan of the female lead,
Yeah.
and the next book really is going to take that more approach of putting men in their place. It's
Good, good.
bad men, men that don't support human equality. That's will be the new book. But
I support you.
yeah.
Yeah.
I knew we were all on the same page. I knew this is a good
You're in
group.
good company.
All right, yeah, yeah. You can say it's tough these days. Anyway, but yeah. So look, my website is iam4worldpeace.com, all words. But it's easier to just find. If my book is on Amazon. You just type in Nick Girard into the search function. It'll come right up. And I'm also on Instagram. And look, I love talking to people. So if any of your listeners want to chat about the book they reach out. And also, like we were talking before, love sending out free copies. It makes me happy. I mean, so if you want a free copy, let me know. I'll mail one through Amazon.
Nice. Well, thank you, Nick, so much for being on the show. And for all of our listeners, join us next time where Jordan and I will be talking about query letter writing, what to include and what to watch out for. And if you love what you hear on Everyday Writers, don't forget to click that subscribe button. Yeah.
And don't forget that every day is a good day to write. We'll
Yeah.
see you next time.
See you next time.
Like